Alright everyone, just making a quick recording for Professor Kannan in 605 course as well as for the rest of my team. So I made some large edits to level 1, some minor edits to level 2, and some large edits to level 3. So let's take a look. So first of all, for level 1, the prefabs for all the different pills are done and they're working, and so we can actually start to assemble, which is so I just have everything just generally assembled, and I think it's ready to start getting prettied up and touched up and stuff. So let's take a look. So in level 1 we have nasal decongestion, and so nasal decongestion, this would be wrong, so health would go down, and nasal decongestion, so Zolan maybe? I think we need Zolan or something. Let me look up what nasal decongestion is. Ephrine or Zolan. So let's get back there and spawn in a Zolan. Just for the sake of example. Cool. So we bring Zolan in, there you go. Points go up. Cool. And so if we go to, one second, save that, and if we go to scene number 2, you'll see that we still have the nasal decongestion right there, but we now have second-gen antihistamine. And so this is teaching the player that the pill bottles are going to increase, which increases the difficulty over time, and it will be scaffolded as we move from 1 pill bottle moving up to 4. And so if we do Zolan to nasal decongestion, points go up. If we do aiding to second-gen antihistamine, points go up. And so if we do it the other way, health goes down, and then health should go down. So take a look at why that's not working. But I'll get to that. And then 1.3. Now we have 3. And so if we import some SSRIs, one second. SSRIs would be oxetine, Pxysis, and tryptoline. So tryptoline, oxetine, and what was the last one? Pxysis. Oh, I just put them in the game mode. Sorry. Okay. Let's do that real quick. Tryptoline, oxetine, and Pxysis. So Pxysis, I think, was TCA. Okay. Okay, well, oxetine I know is SSRI. And then tryptoline I think is SNRI. Okay, so clearly I have got more I need to worry about. Okay, then scenes to level 1.4. So here we have the local anesthetics and anti-anxiety medications. So that would be local anesthetics, Kannan and barbital. Let's just do those 2 for now. So here's Kannan, here's barbital. Let's do it when we're actually in the editor. Sorry about that. And then barbital is barbiturate. Let's do that again, but let's move this so it doesn't interfere. Okay. So barbital is a barbiturate, which goes right there, increases point. Kannan is a local anesthetic. No? I'm correct on that. So yeah, I'm realizing some of them I made it so the health goes down when you get them. Sometimes I just deleted it. I'll have to go through and double check which ones we did that. And then we'll have to decide whether or not getting it correct heals the player or whether that's too easy. And we'll just make it so they have to, get them all right before progressing. Okay, and then, yeah, that would. Oh, and we already have it, so if you win one level, it takes you to the next one, and to the next one, to the next one. And then that leads us to the last one, which is, I think this is lower respiratory. As you can see, there's 4 pill bottles here. And so ephrine is I think it's a bronchodulator? No. Is it a immunomodulator? Let's see. Oh, it's a nasal decongestion. Never mind. Okay, well, anyway, yeah, and so we have all the different pill sprites working and all of them working. We'll just have to go through and touch up the scripts, and that should be good. Okay, moving on to level number 2. The only change I made is now that we know about animations, I wrote a script that triggers the animation when the arrow keys are pressed. And so what that comes out to is that it starts very much the same, but now you can walk. Yay! Yay, we got animations going. So I just think it makes it a little bit more dynamic, gives them a little bit more personality. Yay! Alright, and works very much the same. Oh, and along those lines, yeah, so when Talal bought this guy, yeah, so he comes with a lot more animations that we're not using, and we can use any of these. So I'll have to go over how to cancel an animation when moving to the next one. So it works well for an if-else, like what we have right here. If it's moving this, else, do that. But in situations where we need them to go from one state to another outside of an if-else, we'll have to look up how to cancel animations. But yeah. Looks great. Alright, and then the new one is scene number 3. So this is the one that was started from scratch this semester. And yeah, level 3 is supposed to take the arrow key controls of this one right here and the drag and drop of the first level and combine the two to prepare them for what's going to be coming next with level 4. Yeah, and here's what we have. And so, not that we're doing high blood pressure, but this is just an example of an indicator, and then the contraindicator would be low blood pressure. And so, what the player would have to do is they'd have to drag medications out of their inventory. There you go. And drag it over to the slingshot, which will launch it at the enemy. And the enemy will lose 1 health. And if you do this enough times, what went wrong there? I'm probably going to have to put restraints on it to keep it in 2D. There you go, and it destroys the enemy. And so, yeah, this gets around our limited animation ability, but it makes it so that the slingshot, if properly, we get like a really good picture of it being launched. You can, it looks like it's being launched. And what I think is the best part about this is this design is really spawning a new version of the medication as the projectile, and what that does is it makes it so the player just can't drag it onto the enemy. It doesn't do anything. But if you drag it to the slingshot, suddenly the projectile version goes out. And so we use the arrow key controls from level 2, but this time on a vertical axis, up and down. So the arrow key controls control up and down, and then you, out of your inventory, need to select the correct one that works with the indicator. If you get it correct, then you will do damage to the enemy, and do enough damage, and they will go down. Maybe even just make them one-shot enemies. Who knows? And then, yeah, if you get the wrong way, then you would lose health, and then we can use that hurt animation if we want to. So that'd be player, and that would look like that. Yeah, and so yeah, the way to assess whether or not they're understanding indication and contraindication is whether they're choosing the correct medications, whether they are choosing the medication that would respond to high blood pressure or the one that would exacerbate it. Because if there's a medication that increases your blood pressure, you don't want to give it to an enemy that represents high blood pressure. You want a medication that lowers your blood pressure. Likewise, if we have an enemy that says low blood pressure, we can assess for that by making it so that if you give a medication that lowers your pressure even further, then that would hurt you as opposed to hurting the enemy. Yeah, and so this gives us a very generic skeleton to work with, that to build off of, polish up, and yeah, I think this is a good start. And so yeah, how I did this, just to go over for the sake of 605, is I wrote this script right here. And so how this works is that so defining all the game objects, and then on trigger enter, where it's colliding with a specified target, if the target has a tag local anesthetic, then it will be launched. And we'll have different tags for all the different medications to launch the correct projectiles, and the projectiles would just instantiate them. And then I have in the projectiles themselves, they have the script to go forward and tag the player, which is right here. And so it's move projectile, transform to the right in accordance with time, and you can change the projectile speed. And they also have a damage script with that there. And so this damage script, I had to kind of reverse engineer from a template I got, which was a side-scroller shooter. I couldn't just use the template; it was just too many things that were getting in the way. So what I had to do is I kind of had to choose which lines of script were useful, which ones weren't, which ones were relevant, which ones weren't. And so as we have right here, yeah. So and also we have the ability to do hit effects, so like a POW or whatever, and also some type of animation when you destroy the enemy. We have the ability to do that programming wise. I don't have anything made, but it's right there. And then, yeah, same thing with health. Yeah, I had to just pick apart at the template, see what was helpful, what wasn't. And what they really, had me do was start to understand what's going on here. I couldn't just rely on just searching for things and dragging things. I really had to know what is this line of script doing in the larger context of the whole operations of the game. And yeah, ultimately, I was able to just get a health routine going, so we can give any enemy any amount of health, any amount of lives if you want them to respawn, invincibility time, all of that. And then we can determine how much damage each projectile does, if we want some to do more than others, or something like that. If we want contraindicators to do less or more, if they're hit the same way. Yeah, and I don't know. I think it's obviously nothing that we would show anyone, but just from an internal perspective, I think this is good skeleton to work with moving forward, and we'll obviously flesh this out moving forward. Okay, yeah, I think that's it for this video, and yeah, hopefully you guys have an understanding of where the project's at right now.